Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode in the Project Dramond stand-up series. I don't think we're doing any brainstorming tonight. At least I don't have any brainstorming that I need to do per se. Chris is in bed, so she will not be joining us for stand-up tonight. I was literally hanging out with her at like 7:30, and she shut off all the lights and just passed out. So um, she's asleep
It's
right
the
now.
Hobbit. Wore out.
Unless she woke up early, yeah. So she's been up all day and hasn't taken a nap. I did though. We went for a run today, and then I came back and took a good hour and a half nap. So, in any case, just for her stand up, I'll get into her stuff later. Anyway, I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfield, and I'm joined by,
Joey. Hey, Traveler.
and we're gonna do a quick update on the work that we've been doing on Project Dramond for this past week. So, I have worked a lot on I haven't really touched any of the book stuff this past week. I've worked exclusively on the core rulebook, and I've just been working on getting I think I've done like 6,000 words recently over like the last 5 days or so. I'm averaging like 1,200 words a night or something, but I'm basically going in every evening and I'm doing. This was the first night I didn't because I was busy with stuff all day today. But I've been going in and doing all the stuff like how to play the game, how dice rolls work, how I use the D20 versus how I use the D6, um, how our campaigns work, the difference between campaigns and simple settings, all the generic intro stuff that you're going to find in any other book, whether it's the Pathfinder guidebook, the Dungeons and Dragons player's handbook, all of these guidebooks. It's the intro stuff that you got to do before you get to the character creation. So I've been working on getting all that stuff done for the core rulebook, and then helping Chris. She's been rocking and rolling. She's done three, which they're up in the Project Dramond section of Discord for our patrons there, for the subscribers to the Patreon page. She's done three images over the past week, which are just tutorials. They're not actually her images. They are images that she's done doing someone else's tutorials as she's learning how to use Clip Studio Paint. Wait, that's not what it's called. Clip Paint Studio. I can't remember what the program's called. Anyway, but she's using that program, learning how to use all the tools and everything else. So she's been working on that, and she's done three images over the past week. Um, and I loaded her up with an ArtStation board 3 nights ago, which I put like 120. I sat here for like 3 hours and I put like 120 images in the board for her, which are images that I think are representative of the style that we'd like to see in terms of concept art, as well as sort of images that invoke the type of imagery that I want. And I kind of like told her, and I mentioned this in one of my recent YouTube videos. I was saying when it comes to the world map, I have not defined what any of these places look like at all. I've given them names, and I kind of know, yeah, there's mountains here, there's forest here, there's rolling hills here, there's a pond here, there's a lake here, there's rivers here. But I have not said there's a giant rock with a glowing blue stone on it, or there's a cave here, or any of that stuff. I'm going to let her dictate that with her artwork. So as she comes to me and gives me a piece that's finished, I can look at it and go, I think that's going to look good here, and I'm going to slot it in somewhere in the world. And then as I continue to work on the module, the campaign module and stuff, I will probably come up with ideas and say, oh, they're going to go to the Cavern of Doom. And maybe she's already done concept art for that cavern, and if not, that's fine. I could put a POI on the map, send them there, and then I can ask her to do a concept image of that area. But I much prefer to just let her do what she's going to do with art, follow her inspiration, and then just give me things, and I'll put them wherever they need to go on the map. Which, by the way, I loved that. I know you saw the screenshots for that. I bought her the that box set because she's never read the Lord of the Rings books, and it took me a while to find it because I was like, surely nothing. There was no Spanish version on Amazon.com. There was no Spanish version on Amazon.com.mx. I ended up finding it on Amazon UK, and it actually came from Poland.
I'll be
Um,
darned.
but it's a Spanish, and she was like telling me she's it's not Latin Spanish. It's definitely she's like it's a weird mixture because they're using words that are not Mexican words. So there's a little bit of a she understands it. But anyway, she started reading that this morning. But that map is really cool because on the front side it's Middle Earth, but on the back side it's got like all of the major points of interest, like Helm's Deep, Moria, Lorien, Lothlorien, and then Hobbiton and the Shire, but it's got all these cool waypoints, and many of them have concept art or art drawings with a description text. And I already went over it with her today. I was like, "Oh, so this is yeah. So when you open up the map, this is the Shire's here, and they go here, and this is Rivendell, and then they go through Moria, and this is Lothlorien, and they go from here, and here's Fanghorn, and and here's Mordor." And so I was already like jumping the gun because she's literally only like reading the first chapter of The Hobbit, and it's gonna be fun. But I like that map. So
It's like that TikTok I sent you the other day.
which one?
The one where he's watching Return of the King, and
Oh
he's
my
like,
God! And
"Did
she's
you
oh
know
my God! Did you know this? And this is and Viggo Mortensen broke his toe here, and, and this is where Sam. This is where he cut his foot open. And yeah, it's pretty bad. The first few times we watched those movies, and I've still done that to her because she's never watched the behind the scenes footage, and I don't. I mean, maybe one day she will, but it's as much as she loves those movies, I haven't asked her to sit and watch 12 hours of behind the scenes footage because it's in English and there's no subtitles for it, at least the versions that I have. We'll see. Anyway, that's what we did this week. um, I'm going to be continuing to work on the core rulebook this week, and she's going to be doing more concept art. I'm tired. Your turn.
I don't remember what my stand-up was for last week. I think was the labels,
Interiors
the
and
dialogue. It was dialogue for
I think it was just
signs and
labels.
stuff.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah,
labels,
labels and that kind of stuff.
tooltips.
So this week it was very painstaking to figure it out. And once I did, I was kicking myself for how simple it was. I just was not getting it done correctly, but once I got it, boom, simple. Got NPC dialogue up and running in its basic form, um, and that and I kind of envisioned it to where I would like, like in Quest for Glory, like anything that you click on has a description. You click on the floor, it has a description. You click on the wall, it has a description. You click on the items, and so that's kind of how I envision most things. So I want there to be, and we kind of talked about this, like descriptions on NPCs too. I think because
Oh, there was
we're gonna have
descriptions
to
on
tell.
NPCs in Quest for Glory. Yeah.
Yes, right, because we're telling the story through dialogue. So, the NPC isn't necessarily going to be leaning up against the lamppost, but we may say, you see a woman who is leaning up against a lamppost or something like that. You know what I mean? So, got that to where you can inspect and give a description of the NPC. So that was good. And I got the basic click on them and a text pops up. So now what I'll be doing is going through and working on getting it to where we can have, you know, greetings adventure. How are you today? And then have like three options. I'm good. I'm not good. Ignore or something like that. Um, and then once I get that done, I'm hoping to get that cutscene type dialogue that you and I were talking about implemented to where we have all the options, but then it's in cutscene view. Where the
Yeah,
camera will
because
be
I
behind
like
each character.
I like the way that Quest for Glory did it, where your character doesn't ever really say anything. It's just when you click on the NPC,
Yes.
it goes into dialogue mode, and you have the various things that you can ask him, as
Yep.
opposed to you having
Yep.
answers that you give. Um,
Correct. And that's how I plan on making it. So
that would be the simplest. So if we can make that work, yeah, because then I can literally just go in and I can make a branching
hmm
dialogue tree where we can have, like, say, depending on the NPC, it might have three panels. Panel one is these five things, panel two is these three things, and panel three is these six things. And then each at the bottom of each, there's a button that takes you back to the previous panel. Um,
so I need to be able to make it to where you can go back to the
yeah,
panel.
think about
That's
that.
something.
Because that's, if you think about how Quest for Glory did it in those games, that's
Yeah.
how it always, because it's always at the bottom, there's like, tell me, talk about
Something
something
else.
else. And it takes
And
you
it goes
back to the
back to
previous screen. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So I'll have to figure out how to that. I mean, that should be
Or when you
doable.
hit escape, it just backs out, and then when you go back in, you're starting from scratch again. You're back on panel one.
Right. Well, I mean, like that's how it'll work. Anyways, I would like it. I do like the option of while you're talking, like, oh, I want to go back and ask about the brigands now, as opposed to the farmer, or whatever. Okay, that's something to think about. Okay, so I'll try to think about that too. Also, side note, kind of a brainstorming thing. We had talked about we didn't know whether we wanted to do, flesh out the actual whole village, or if we were gonna just do individual scenes and then
Oh
jump
yeah, yeah.
around. Um, should be able to do one big one, but have multiple scenes within the big one. That should be fine. I was playing around with that a little bit too, so
So you're saying you'll be able to build the whole village.
and still be able to have zone lines where the camera, you zone, you get to the edge of the camera, you're gonna zone, so on and so forth. Should be no problem. That way you actually see the village. Like if we have the camera, down here, kind of off in the distance, you'll see it. That way everything stays in perspective.
Okay. I mean, obviously
Should be doable.
we'll probably need to do more performance tweaking with that manner of doing things. Because I don't
I
know.
mean, not for the village because there's not gonna be that much going on, but like
That's
maybe
true.
like when we get to the city,
City might be it.
yeah,
Well,
because
the city we might just need to be smart about it, and instead of designing the whole city, we just build sections and
yeah,
say, maybe this section is these four streets, and that's
yes,
section A. You're not looking at section B until we log you into section B, and then that's. And
right,
also, the districts might be a little bit different because you'll have streets,
mm,
which may cut your view off depending on if the
mm,
street turns to the left or something. Whereas here in the village, that was the other thing I was looking at too. Since you brought this up, one of the things because I haven't started on that map yet. One of those things I was thinking about is being creative about like the natural
mm-hmm,
turn of the street to where maybe you see the street turning at the end of that little block it goes to the right, and so
yep.
there's a tree there and the road curves through it, but you don't really see anything. But then you get to the end and then you zone and then boom, you're into the next district of town. So I mean, however we make it work, I'm okay with. But if you think you can make the whole town work, then I need to do that map sooner rather than later. um,
Do both versions, but I think it should be able to be done because, like, even if you go back as far as one of the very first updates I did was getting the one set of doors to work within the same scene, and I enter this door and I come out of this door. We can literally use the same system. Only instead of going in this door and
it's
coming
a
out this
zone
door,
line.
you're gonna go in this door, but you're gonna come out over here, which is off camera, so you're actually gonna have to zone into this other. I think I haven't tried it yet, other than that. Um, so maybe that's something else I need to work on too. Um,
Maybe that's the next thing you do after the dialogue.
figuring that out.
Yeah, because I mean, I still need to do the map for the village.
Sure.
But if that's not going to work the way we think it's going to work, then we're going to have to just be creative about and maybe that's what I'll do is maybe I will when I'm doing that map. I guess the way we can always think of it is we could always put a tree or a rock at the end that kind of
Oh,
obscures the
absolutely.
view. Um,
Well, and we've already talked about like we could literally just figure out what you would normally see and
and you could
put
also
that in the
change
back.
the angle of the camera. I mean, that's another
I'm
easy
just trying not
fix.
to get too far top. I don't want it to be top. I want it to be,
Sure.
kind of.
I mean, well, because if you think about it the way, like I'm thinking Quest for Glory, the way they did the placement of the camera. So when you first come into town, it's literally it's it's shoulder height camera, and
Hmm.
you're looking kind of straight ahead. And so, but it's a single street, so it's literally you don't get to see what's to the left, and even to the right, you just see like a painted backdrop,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
don't even see anything to the left.
It's very far in. Yeah, the
Yeah.
camera's very close. Yeah,
So I mean, we
yeah.
could still get away with something like
The
that.
reason it's so far out on this scene is because I wanted to be able to see all four buildings. I mean, we could change that. I just really thought that was a cool view.
It is a cool view, but I'm just, thinking ahead. If there's a corner we have to cut, it might be the camera angle.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
but man, I got too many. There's too many things that need to be done now. Um, Well, it's
leaning
already.
up
I
to
was
the
already looking at my
holiday.
timeline, going, I gotta get all this done by when. Um, so yeah,
That's a, it's okay. I mean, like it's already halfway through April. I've really only got 2 more months, 2.5 more months.
get your prototype ready. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I've.
chop chop.
Oh, that reminds me, I got something I got to talk to you about off camera, which is interesting. About some fun stuff that we're going to be able to add, and we won't need to go to the Unreal store to take care of it. Someone reached out and offered some stuff to us, which I think is really cool. So we'll I'll talk more to you about that off camera.
Cool.
Just don't let me
Secret
forget.
sauce.
Yeah, don't let me forget before I crash tonight.
Okay. Okay.
Um, anyway, that's our stand up, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't all the way, by the way, check out the Discord because we've got links. Like he's been putting up videos of the stuff he's working on the prototype. We've got videos of the work that Chris is doing. I haven't done a personal video in a little while because I've been working on core rulebook stuff, which is kind of boring to share on TikTok. But I may do one of those
Here's
updates.
a piece of paper.
Right, here's the document that I'm working on. I mean, I mean, it is interesting over the scope of time, but that's what the Patreon posts are for. I mean, because the Patreon posts on Tuesdays and Thursdays are literally the things that I'm working on in the book put in the Patreon post. And so I don't feel like giving those away on TikTok because that's what people subscribe for. So the stuff I want to share on TikTok is like the world building videos and the map stuff. So if I get back into the map here within the next week or two, I'll do another map making series for that that I can share. Otherwise, stay tuned to all the channels. And if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon so you get updates for all the future content that we do. Check out the links below to go to Discord and to also um, join us over on Patreon. And I noticed just now that my color is changing from like gray to, so which means I forgot to turn that filter off on my camera. There we go. Orange, gray. That's a, yeah, that's a lighting issue because I don't have my other lights on. Anyway, thanks everybody. We'll see you in the next episode.